Imagine you're in a game where no one explains the rules to you. A game where every action you take determines whether you're seen as strong and influential or as a disposable piece. A game in which those who play intelligently earn respect, while those who are driven by the need for approval are relegated to the shadows. This game is called life, and specifically, it's called human relationships. No matter how good you are, how talented or smart you think you are, if you adopt certain behaviors, you automatically become a pawn on others' board. And in this world, pawns don't rule. They are sacrificed. High-value people understand this. They don't seek desperate validation. They don't give up their power just to fit in. They don't live under the illusion that others will treat them well just because they treat others well. They've learned that respect isn't asked for, it's imposed with presence, with attitude, and with the absence of self-imposed weaknesses. Today, I'm going to show you 9 behaviors that intelligent and high-value people never adopt in their interpersonal relationships. 9 mistakes that can make you invisible, vulnerable, or even manipulable if you don't correct them in time. So pay attention, because if you truly want to be someone who makes an impact, who leaves a mark, and who is never treated as a mere pawn, you have to start playing your pieces well. 1. You don't need applause to shine. A fire doesn't ask if anyone is watching before it burns. It just burns, illuminates, and transforms everything around it. That's how your worth should be. You can't depend on external validation to feel secure about who you are. Weak people need applause, constant recognition, and kind words to feel important. But high-value people understand that their light doesn't depend on the gaze of others. From a young age, we have been taught to seek approval. Good behavior is rewarded with applause. Bad grades mean disappointment. And little by little, we are programmed to depend on the recognition of others. We become addicted to praise, as if it were oxygen. But what happens when they disappear? Who are you when no one tells you that you did well? This is where many crumble. They feel invisible, insecure, as if their existence lost meaning without the validation of others. And there's the problem. When your worth depends on the opinion of others, you will never truly be free. You will always be at the mercy of their expectations, adjusting your life to fit into what others consider valuable. Stoicism teaches us that true greatness comes from emotional self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful emperors in history, wrote in his Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, stop waiting for others to tell you that you are worth it and start living according to your own standard of greatness. Here's the truth. Most people don't really care about what you do. They may applaud you today and forget you tomorrow. If you live based on external approval, you will be like a leaf in the wind, changing direction according to what the world wants from you. But high-value people are like mountains, firm, unshakable, and aware that their existence doesn't need to be validated. Every time you seek approval, you give away power. You're saying, "My worth depends on what others think of me." And when you depend on something external, you become a slave. It's the worst position you can be in, because it makes you manipulable. People perceive when someone is desperate for approval, and instead of respecting it, they use it. They will give you crumbs of validation when it suits them, and ignore you when you no longer serve them. Strong people move with determination, not caring about how many likes they receive or how many compliments they hear. They know that approval is a byproduct of true merit, not its fuel. They don't seek to be the center of attention. They just do what they need to do, and over time, people recognize them for it. But even if no one recognized them, they would keep going because they don't do it for others, they do it for themselves. So, how do you stop depending on external validation? First, start questioning why you need to be recognized. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I really want to, or because I want others to approve of it? If the answer is the latter, you have already identified the problem. Second, learn to enjoy the process without needing witnesses. There is something powerful about doing things just for you. Training without posting a picture, learning something new without telling anyone, achieving a goal without expecting congratulations. When you are able to do this, it means that your fire is real. Third, realize that approval is ephemeral. Today, they applaud you. Tomorrow, they criticize you. You can't build your identity on something so unstable. High-value people have an internal compass. They don't depend on external signals to know if they are going in the right direction. Finally, accept that you won't be liked by everyone, and that's okay. You don't need the approval of the whole world to be someone valuable. What you need is to respect yourself and act according to your principles, no matter who is watching. So the next time you feel the need to impress someone, stop. Ask yourself, if no one was watching, would I still be doing this? If the answer is no, then you're not doing it out of conviction, but for validation. And that's where you start to lose. High-value people shine because they have learned this lesson. You don't need applause to be someone. You just need to be. 2. No one is above you. Act accordingly. From the moment you are born, society tries to assign you a place. We are taught to respect authority figures, to admire those who are successful, and to feel inferior to those who seem to be above us. We are sold the idea that some people are untouchable, that certain names and titles give them superior value. But here's the truth. No one is above you, unless you choose to see it that way. High-value people do not walk with their heads down, nor do they minimize themselves before anyone. It doesn't matter if they are in front of a millionaire, a powerful boss, or a celebrity, their attitude does not change. Not because they are arrogant, but because they understand that, at the end of the day, we all breathe the same air. We all have fears. We are all human. The only real difference between people is in the mind of those who believe they are worth less. There are those who bow in the presence of someone with more money, more fame, or an imposing title. But if you look beyond the facade, you will see the same. A person with doubts, insecurities, good and bad days, just like you. The only reason some seem bigger is because others see them that way. But that is an illusion. And the worst part is that when you adopt that illusion, you start to behave as if you were less. But here comes the key part. The way you perceive yourself dictates how others will treat you. If you act insecurely, people will notice and place you in a low position. If, on the other hand, you conduct yourself with dignity and confidence, you will be treated with respect. It doesn't matter who you are talking to. If you believe you are on equal footing, so it will be. Think about it. People who seem to have a strong presence are not necessarily the richest, the smartest, or the most influential. They are those who behave as if they belong where they are. They don't ask for permission to exist. They don't seek approval. They simply know they are worth the same as anyone else in the room and act accordingly. The problem is that many put themselves in a position of inferiority without realizing it. How many times have you felt nervous when talking to someone you consider important? How many times have you treated someone as if their time was worth more than yours? This kind of behavior sends a clear message. I am less than you. And the worst part is that when you see yourself this way, others see it too. But this can be changed. How? First, change the way you talk to yourself. The next time you are in the presence of someone who intimidates you, remember this: that person is just a human being with problems, doubts, and flaws, just like you. Don't give them a power they don't have. Second, observe your body language. Insecurity is not only noticeable in words, but in posture, tone of voice, gestures. Walk firmly, look people in the eyes, stay calm. Confidence is not in what you say, but in how you convey it. Third, stop asking for permission to exist. You don't need anyone's validation to speak with conviction, to move with confidence, or to act with determination. People respect those who respect themselves. Finally, stop putting people on pedestals. Admire achievements, respect effort, but never believe that someone is worth more than you because of their position. Because the moment you believe it is the moment you become inferior. High-value people understand this. No one is above them, because the only real judge of their life is their own conscience. If you act with that confidence, the world will notice. 3. Mark your territory and defend it. Imagine you're a lion in the savannah. You don't need to roar all the time for others to know that this is your territory. You don't need explanations, justifications, or apologies. You just occupy your space with confidence. But if a lion doesn't defend its territory, it loses it. That's how respect works in life. If you don't define where the boundaries of what you tolerate and what you don't tolerate are, others will do it for you. People without boundaries are easy prey. They are the ones who always say yes, who allow others to interrupt them, use them, overstep them. They believe that being kind means being complacent, but what they are really doing is handing over their territory to anyone who wants to invade it. And here's the reality: if you don't respect yourself, no one else will. High-value people don't allow others to cross their lines without consequences. They don't need to be aggressive or cause unnecessary conflicts, but they have one thing clear: there are things they simply won't tolerate. They don't accept disrespect. They don't give their time to those who don't deserve it. They don't stay silent when something goes against their principles, because they know that every time they let a lack of respect pass without reacting, their territory shrinks. The problem is that many fear setting boundaries. They believe that if they say no, they will be seen as difficult or will lose the acceptance of others. But here's the key point: when you set boundaries, the right people respect you more, and the people who aren't worth it walk away. Respect is not asked for. It is demanded by the way you conduct yourself. And for that, you need clarity. Ask yourself, what things do you not tolerate in your life? What kind of treatment do you consider unacceptable? When was the last time you let someone cross a boundary without saying anything? If you can't answer clearly, it means you've never defined your territory. And if you don't define it, the world will do it for you. But how do you mark your territory without seeming aggressive or problematic? First, learn to say no without guilt. A firm and clear no is more powerful than 1,000 excuses. You don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to give elaborate reasons. If something doesn't seem right to you, you simply don't accept it. Second, observe how you react when someone crosses your boundaries. If you stay silent when someone interrupts you, when they disrespect you, or when they demand more than you're willing to give, you're allowing them to invade your space. The next time it happens, stop and respond calmly, but firmly. Third, don't be afraid to lose people. If someone walks away because you set a boundary, you didn't lose someone important. you freed yourself from someone who didn't respect your value. People who are really worth it will respect your boundaries and understand that having standards is not being difficult, it's having dignity. Finally, remember this: others will treat you according to what you allow. If they see you as someone without clear lines, they will use you without remorse. But if they see you as someone with a well-defined territory, they will respect you, even if they don't say it out loud. Mark your territory. Defend it. Because if you don't, someone else will occupy it. 4. Being authentic is worth more than being accepted. Imagine walking into a big party where everyone is wearing masks. No one shows their true face. Some pretend to be happier than they really are. Others pretend to be smarter, more successful, more interesting. But everyone is playing a role because they believe that without the mask, no one would accept them. Now imagine that you decide to take off your mask. At first, you feel all eyes on you. Some people distance themselves because they don't know how to deal with someone who isn't playing the same game. Others watch you with curiosity, as if you've broken an unwritten rule. And a few, the ones who really matter, approach because they see in you something rare, something real, something that in a world of disguises almost nobody dares to show: authenticity. Most people live in fear of being seen for who they really are. They change their way of speaking depending on who they are with. They hide their opinions to avoid offending anyone. They filter their thoughts until nothing of what they truly believe remains. Not because they are fake, but because they have been trained to fit in. But here's the problem. The more you try to fit in, the more invisible you become. High-value people don't waste time molding themselves to please everyone. They know that authenticity is their greatest power. They don't seek approval, they seek truth. They're not interested in being accepted everywhere, only in the places where they truly belong. And if that means losing some friendships, so be it. The fear of rejection is one of the strongest chains that exist. It makes us give in. It makes us shut up. It makes us act against what we feel just to maintain the illusion of belonging. But here's the truth that no one says out loud. Universal acceptance is a lie. No matter how hard you try to please, there will always be someone who disagrees with you, someone who doesn't like you, someone who would rather see you fail. So, if there will be those who reject you anyway, why waste time pretending? Authenticity is not easy. Someone, at some point, is going to be uncomfortable with your truth. But that's a good filter. If someone walks away because they can't accept who you are, it's not a loss, it's a natural cleansing. The right people stay, the wrong ones leave. Now, how do you start to be more authentic when you've been taught to adapt all your life? First, take inventory of the times when you've betrayed yourself just to be accepted. Think about the situations where you've said yes when you wanted to say no, the moments where you've stayed silent when you wanted to speak. Ask yourself if the version of you that you present to the world is really who you are, or just an edited version to avoid conflicts. Second, practice discomfort. Authenticity comes with a price. Sometimes you'll be judged, sometimes you'll be criticized, sometimes you'll feel like you're walking alone. But the flip side is that you'll also attract the right people, those who don't need you to wear a mask to see your worth. Third, accept that not everyone is going to love you. And that's okay. People who try to be accepted by everyone end up losing their identity. You don't need to fit in everywhere, just in the places that really matter. Being authentic is worth more than being accepted, because the acceptance of others is volatile. but the peace of being who you really are is unshakable. Don't become another face in the crowd just out of fear of standing out. Take off the mask and let the world see who you really are. 5. Your happiness does not depend on anyone else. There is an invisible cage in which many live without even noticing it. It has no metal bars or visible locks, but it still traps them. It's the cage of emotional dependency. Within it, every thought, every mood, every smile is controlled by someone else. A message makes them feel alive. A silence suffocates them. A look of approval lifts them. A gesture of indifference destroys them. They live like this, chained to the validation of others, believing that their happiness is in the hands of others. But here's the truth. The day you let someone else own your well-being, you become their prisoner. And there is no worse prison than the one where you voluntarily hand over the key. High-value people never fall into this game. They do not put their happiness in the hands of a friend, a partner, their family, or society. They do not seek to be saved. They do not wait for someone to make them feel complete. Because they understand something that most refuse to accept. No one can give you what you do not give yourself. Emotional dependency is a form of servitude disguised as love. When you need someone to approve of you to feel valuable, you are allowing your self-esteem to depend on factors you do not control. And what you do not control will inevitably make you suffer. Have you seen people who jump from one relationship to another because they cannot be alone? Or those who obsess over the opinions of others and live according to social acceptance? They are prisoners of a system that will never allow them to be free. Because the truth is that external validation is like a mirage. It seems to fill, but it never satisfies. If someone can ruin your day with their indifference, it means that you have still given them too much control over you. And here comes the question that few ask themselves: do you really want to be a secondary character in your own story? Breaking this dependency is not easy. For years we have been taught that love, friendship, and companionship are the most important things. But no one tells us that, before looking for all that outside, we need to find it within. If you are not happy being alone, it means that you have not built a life that you truly enjoy. If you need someone to praise you to feel valuable, it means that you have not yet given yourself the respect you demand from others. If you feel that without certain people you are nothing, it means that you are never enough for yourself. So, how do you break this cage? First, stop looking for in others what you do not give yourself. Validation, self-esteem, a sense of purpose. All of that has to come from within. Because when you look for it outside, you only get temporary and manipulable versions. Second, learn to be alone without feeling empty. Loneliness is not the problem. The problem is when you avoid it because you don't know what to do with it. If you need constant distractions, if you jump from one relationship to another, if silence terrifies you, there lies the root of the problem. It's not the absence of others that weighs on you. It's the absence of yourself. Third, stop giving people the power to define how you feel. Appreciate relationships, enjoy the company, but do not make your happiness depend on it. If someone is there, fine. If they're not, that's fine too. Because at the end of the day, you are the only one responsible for your own well-being. Do not put your happiness in the hands of anyone. Do not turn it into a bargaining chip that others can control. Take it back and make it yours. Because the day you do, you will be truly free. 6. Don't always be available. Make them earn you. There is a silent law that governs all human relationships. What is easy to obtain is rarely valued. We see it everywhere. People who are always available, who always respond immediately, who always say yes, end up being treated as guaranteed resources. Their presence is taken for granted, their time is wasted, their value is diluted. The paradox is that the more accessible you are, the less important you seem. People respect what they perceive as scarce, what is not easily obtained, what has to be earned. And here's the problem. Many believe that being always accessible makes them more loved, when in reality, it makes them dispensable. Look at those who really master social interactions. They're not glued to the phone, waiting to answer every message in seconds. They don't cancel their plans to accommodate others. They don't live according to someone else's schedule. Their time is theirs, and if someone wants it, they have to earn it. The difference between someone of high value and someone who is easily ignored is not in how hard they strive to be present, but in how much they command respect. When you're always available, you send a clear message. My time is not valuable. My attention is not special. There is nothing in my life more important than being here for you the moment you ask for it. And that's dangerous, because people start to treat you with indifference, to assume that you'll always be there, no matter how they treat you. People value what they have to strive to get. If a diamond were lying on the street like a common stone, no one would stop to pick it up. The same goes for people. This doesn't mean that you should play manipulation games or ignore those who matter to you. It means that you should learn to balance your availability so that your presence has a real impact. So, how do you apply this in real life? First, stop responding immediately to everything and everyone. You're not obligated to always be there. You don't have to jump at the first, "Can you talk?" Let people wait a bit. Make your time carry weight. Second, prioritize your schedule. High-value people have more important things to do than be available 24 hours for others. When someone sees that you can't simply abandon your plans for them, they understand that your time is limited and therefore more valuable. Third, allow them to miss you. If you're always there, they'll never look for you. Sometimes, the best way to make someone value your presence is by disappearing a bit. The reality is this: what is easy to obtain is taken for granted. Don't be a guaranteed option. Don't be the safe plan. Don't always be available. Make them earn you. 7. Don't be afraid to lose someone who doesn't value you. A ship with too much weight sinks. No matter how strong it is, no matter how far it has come, if it continues to carry what it shouldn't, sooner or later, it's going to sink. And that's exactly how relationships work. Clinging to someone who doesn't value you is like carrying an anchor, believing it's a lifebuoy. But most people do just that. They stay in relationships where they are not a priority, where their presence is taken for granted, where they have to beg for attention as if it were a favor and not a right. They tolerate indifference, excuses, absences disguised as busyness, all out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear that no one else will choose them, fear of accepting the most uncomfortable truth of all. If you have to fight to be valued, you've already lost the battle. High-value people don't play that game. They don't cling to what weakens them. They don't try to convince anyone of their importance. They don't beg for attention, because they know that someone who really wants them in their life doesn't need to be persuaded. But here's the problem. The fear of loss makes people settle for less than they deserve. They tell themselves that nobody is perfect, that all relationships have ups and downs, that this is better than being alone. And with each excuse, they dig their own emotional grave. Think about this. If someone only calls you when it suits them, if they only look for you when they need something, if they only pay attention to you when they feel they are losing you, Is that really appreciation or just manipulation? Respect is not negotiable. If you have to remind someone of your worth, if you have to always be available so they don't forget about you, if you have to measure your words to not upset and push them away, then that relationship is already broken, even if you're still in it. The key is to change the perspective. Not everyone who leaves is a loss. Not everyone who stays is a gain. Some people are in your life just to show you who you should never give access to again. So, how do you stop fearing loss? First, ask yourself what's worse: losing someone who doesn't value you, or losing yourself trying to make them do so. Second, stop justifying the unjustifiable. People who really want to be in your life stay without you having to beg. Third, realize that self-respect is the most effective filter. When you stop accepting crumbs, people who are only there because it was easy to have you will disappear. And that's a good thing. A ship doesn't move forward if it's full of dead weight. Let it go and keep sailing. 8. Master your emotions before they master you. Fire can give you warmth, or it can burn you alive. A river can give you life, or it can sweep you away and drown you. Emotions work the same way. If you control them, they are a powerful tool. If they control you, they become a prison from which you cannot escape. There are people who are slaves to their anger, their fear, their anxiety, their pride. They live reacting without thinking, throwing words without measuring the consequences, destroying relationships due to impulses they don't even understand. And the worst part is that they don't even realize they're not in control. They believe that that's just the way they are, that they can't help it, that they simply react, and that's it. But here's the truth. If you don't control your emotions, someone else will do it for you. High-value people do not allow their emotions to govern them. They do not let anger drag them down in a moment of tension. They do not allow fear to paralyze them when they need to act. They do not let sadness sink them into eternal self-pity. They feel everything like anyone else. But the difference is that they do not let these emotions define them. The problem is that many believe that being emotionally strong means being cold, distant, or indifferent. And no, being emotionally strong does not mean not feeling. It means feeling without losing control. How many times have you said something you later regretted because you were angry? How many times have you made a bad decision because you were desperate? How many times have you allowed fear to make you doubt yourself and miss opportunities you knew you should take? There lies the difference between who governs their inner world and who is governed by it. The key is not to repress what you feel, but to learn to manage it. How? First, put distance between impulse and action. When you feel an intense emotion, instead of reacting immediately, breathe. Stop. Ask yourself if what you're about to do is really the best or just an impulsive response. Second, understand that emotions are temporary. The anger you feel now, the sadness that seems unbearable, the fear that paralyzes you, everything passes. And if you make decisions based on what you feel in the moment, you are likely to regret it later. Third, do not identify with your emotions. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your sadness. You are the one who observes all of this and decides what to do with it. Emotions are like a wild horse. If you learn to tame it, it takes you far. If you let it loose, it knocks you down and drags you. Master your emotions before they master you. 9. If you have to beg, it's not worth it. Nobody pleads for what truly belongs to them. Nobody begs for what has value. If you have to insist, chase, or convince someone to choose you, you've already lost. People who beg for love, respect, or attention don't do it because they really want to be there, but because they believe that without that validation, they are not enough. They crawl behind someone who barely gives them crumbs, endure indifference, accept being the last option, all in the hope that one day that person will see them, value them, choose them. But here's the truth. Whoever really wants you in their life doesn't need you to remind them that you exist. Look around you. How many times have you seen someone endure contempt just to not lose a person who clearly doesn't appreciate them? How many times have you been the one who has made excuses for someone who doesn't even make the slightest effort? It's a story that repeats itself constantly. The one who gives the most, the one who strives the most, the one who is most willing to stay, is the one who is least valued. High-value people never beg, not because they are cold or arrogant, but because they know that self-respect is more important than any relationship. If they have to chase, if they have to force, if they have to convince, they simply leave. Because staying where you are not valued is the fastest way to destroy yourself. The problem is that many confuse effort with begging. They believe that insisting on someone is a sign of love. But love is not begged for, it is shared. Attention is not demanded, it is given naturally. And respect is not begged for, it is earned by the way you value yourself. If someone really wants you in their life, they show it. Without games, without strategic silences, without manipulations. You don't need to remind someone to treat you well. You don't need to be always available to see if they finally give you some of their time. What is real flows? What is forced breaks? So, how do you get out of this cycle? First, stop justifying the unjustifiable. If you have to make excuses for someone's behavior, if you have to convince yourself that, deep down, they do care about you, you already know the answer. Second, value your presence more than you value others. Don't stay where you're not appreciated. Don't waste time trying to fit into a space where you're clearly not a priority. Third, learn to let go. Sometimes, the only thing that separates you from peace is the ability to let go of what is not for you. If you have to beg, it's not worth it. Period.
Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.